You're in the no-flop zone. We're taking time out. Joey Wright, my usual partner, isn't here. I'm Boti Nagy, but we've got instead an icon of Adelaide basketball. A man who's had a court named after him. He's had his uniform retired. He was even the subject of a magnificent book, extremely well written. Of course, I'm talking about Brett Maher. Welcome, Brett.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
It's excellent to have you here. First of all, what are you doing right now in terms of your working life, and then we'll get to basketball?
Yeah, I joined the fire service about 9 years ago, so loving doing that. It's a great job within the community and helping out there, and it's a really good atmosphere in there, so I enjoy that. And then basketball-wise, yeah, Scott Ninnis and myself have started up our brand, or expanding our brand, doing basketball camps and corporate sessions and one-day school visits. So that's going really well as well.
I'm looking at you, and you're very different looking physically. You look much more powerful than you were as a
rounder anyway.
Well, I wasn't going to say that. So I'm not one to speak, but I guess it's a different sort of fitness you need to carry somebody down a ladder than it is to dive on a loose ball.
Yeah, I think these days it's expected. It's a physical job in the fire service, and yeah, if you have to go into a house and carry someone out, you got to be physically fit, and I think most of the guys within the service pride themselves on that.
Okay, you mentioned Scott Ninnis. There's two things I want to talk about. One, obviously, we don't really do a lot on women's basketball here, but he's just been appointed coach of Adelaide Lightning after sitting in that seat about a month ago and saying, off air, he said, I don't think I'll coach again. I'm a broken man. But they've managed to find him and he took him into it.
Well, they have, because I had similar conversations with him, and yeah, what happened with the 36ers, it hurt him a lot. I think emotionally, it cut him pretty deep, but they must have said the right words to get him across the line, and I think it's an exciting opportunity for him because they've got a lot of talent there that's underperforming, and I think as a coach, that's the perfect scenario to come into, where you can make pretty immediate change and hopefully get them back into the running.
Now let's get back to what you said about the 36ers, because you said that situation was a bit untenable, and you've actually walked away from it. As I said in the intro, you're recognised as the 36er. For you to sort of, I mean, you're a two-time Larry Sengstock medalist, three-time championship winner. You know, you've lead the team in all sorts of statistical categories. For you to sort of walk away when Scotty was sacked, that must have been pretty heartbreaking for you.
Yeah, it was. Like 36 has been my life pretty much since I grew up, coming to all the games as a little kid, working my way through the team, captaining the team, playing for 18 years, and then working for the club pretty much ever since as well. It's been a huge part of my life, and I've seen a lot of good things at the club and a lot of bad things over those years, and unfortunately this year there was just way too many things that didn't align with my values going on from upper management, and I just had to pull the pin. It wasn't just the stuff that was happening with Scott. That was handled exceptionally badly.
Yeah,
people get sacked, but there's ways to do it, and that was handled probably as bad as it could have been. But there was a lot of other incidences that probably haven't come out in the public eye as yet that just kept mounting up, and the people that were making those decisions, yeah, they broke me in the end, and I just had to walk away. I couldn't be a part of it. Hopefully, if there's some changes made, I'll be able to get back to the club and support the club that I love. But I'm finding myself in a position at the moment where you're nearly barracking for opposition teams.
Wow.
And I never wanted to barrack for Perth, but I was nearly cheering on Bryce Cotton on the weekend, and he's phenomenal at the moment, and I think we'll talk about him later on in the show. But it just broke me in the end, how they've been handling things.
But you obviously have been still watching NBL. Otherwise, this is going to be a very short show. So what are your takeaways at the moment? We're sort of at a midpoint in the season. What are you liking? Which teams do you like?
Look, I think Illawarra have been playing very well. I think Melbourne are the team to beat still. I think the talent that they've got, they've been underperforming the last couple of weeks, but they're looking good. Sydney have got so much talent. I really like the way they're going at the moment. If they build towards, I think Tasmania are going to be around the mark. They're the kind of teams I'm really liking. Perth, I think okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if Bryce can continue what he's
It's
doing.
been amazing, isn't it?
But he has been phenomenal. If they get some of their players back, then they're probably up around the mark too.
Yeah, it's interesting what might happen now with Tasmania doing what New Zealand did, which was let go Freddie Gillespie, bring in Taco Fall, and they've been in free fall ever since. And now, but I think they've made a better decision, Tasmania. We haven't seen Ian Hummer yet. He's 6'7", he's 34, he's got some experience. Obviously, they had him in mind when they cut. You don't cut a player like Craig Sword unless you've got a replacement ready to step in.
Yeah.
So they've done their due diligence. I don't think it'll be the same situation where he destroys the team. I think he'll put him back in the championship discussion.
Yeah, well, he's a veteran. He's played over in Europe for a number of years, in Turkey, Greece, some really good leagues. I think he'll really help them, what he'll bring to that team. They've really missed McVeigh this year.
Oh, yeah.
So bringing him in may help cover for that gaping hole. They're on a bit of a tear at the moment, so adding him in, I think, will only help to that. Whereas New Zealand bringing in Taco Fall, I just don't understand that decision at all. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, as people who've been around the sport for a little while, when you hear that someone's signing a 7'6" NBA player, I mean, your first thought is, well, if he's 7'6" and he's not in the NBA, he's an NBA star, according to one article I just read. Jeez. But if he's not there, he's not Europe, he's not in one of the big money markets like Asia and China, then you're not really getting a stud, you're probably getting a dud.
Yeah, I agree. Those guys have been proven not to work in this league.
Yeah.
You look at Kai Soto, a big unit. The league's just too quick. They run up and down the court 2 or 3 times, they're out of gas. Yeah, I think he's a big liability for them at the defensive end. Like, he can't guard the on ball. Anyone coming off an on ball is going to score against them. Sure, he's tough to guard at the other end under the bucket where you can turn and jump 2 inches and you're dunking. But I think the negative far outweighs the positive. But Larry loves NBA. He loves marketing, and he's from the NBA and he's easy to market. So from that perspective, he's probably good for the league. But for New Zealand, I think it's a really bad move.
I feel sorry for the team because I thought they were travelling really nicely, just sort of improving incrementally and looking like a contender that none of us had considered because of the wholesale changes in the team.
Well, and going over playing the NBA games has typically worked out badly for some of the teams. Coming back, they looked awesome. They were really good. They pumped Adelaide by 30 odd and were looking good. But yeah, I just don't get that.
That to me is other people making a decision and thinking this is going to be good for our league. Here you are, take this guy, you've got to play him. Sort of situation. Let's move to Cairns because I looked at their personnel and thought they could be the sleeper. And then it's just been Taron Armstrong starts off injured, then this guy's injured, then that guy's injured. And now they're on this 12-game losing streak against Perth. I don't know if you watched that game, but
I did,
at 70 all in the third quarter. And you're thinking this. And then they scored 22 more points and Perth scored 58.
Yeah, defensively they were terrible. They started really well the way they were guarding Bryce Cotton. I thought they did a great job, but then as the course the game wore on, that broke down a little bit. Yeah, I think mentally as well, when you get into losing games that many in a row, you just talk yourself out of winning games, and then you find ways to lose, and they're in that state at the moment. I think Fordy's done a pretty good job with them, with the talent. It's a hard place to recruit to. They don't have the budget of some of the other teams, and I think he's done very well in getting what he's got there, but they're going to find it hard to pull themselves out of that massive hole that they're in now.
I mean, it's just like winning in your day. Winning was a habit. And losing is a habit as well. And when you've lost this many...
Psychologically, it plays a huge toll as well. Like coming to training after losing again and again, it just wears you down.
What's your take on Brisbane? Because I'm sort of I'm still jury's out. Last week I said if they win again, I'll change my mind. And they did. They did very well and won, and then they went down to Sydney. They lost the game they shouldn't have. And now I'm sort of back in the. They're not going to make it, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think they'll make it either. They're right in it. I think Schuler's coaching them a lot better. His rotations seem to be better.
Yeah, he's cut it from 50 to 39, I believe. You know, spectators that sit at the end of the bench are like, am I getting a chance? And
the imports have started playing well together as well, which really helps and has kicked them along. I like Norton in the point spot. He's plays hard. But I don't think they're going to have enough. I think there's more talent around the league that hasn't either kicked in yet. Like, I think Adelaide will make it.
Yep.
They've just paid way too much not to make it. and they have talent,
Yep.
like, especially once they get DJ and Sunday back. They've got a huge array of talent. Speaking of subbing in, I couldn't believe they got 10 players in the first quarter in the last game. I just don't understand that. Players can't get in to a rhythm. It makes it really hard, but we'll see how that.
It's even happening in Sydney, you know, a little bit. You sort of go, this lineup is very interesting, and now here come the subs. That's not the old way Gorge used to coach, but whatever, he's either moving with the times or trying to keep up with
I think he's got so much talent, he's trying to find a way to keep everyone happy. And I think that's probably what happened to CJ when he was coaching here. He had a lot of pretty even talent, trying to keep everyone happy. And I think that's what Gorge is trying to do in Sydney, because they've got a heap of talent there that all wants a run. I'm
not quite as high on Xavier Cooks as everybody else seems to be, because I mean, he doesn't have a mid-range, he doesn't have an outside. I mean, he's hit a couple of threes this season, which you sort of go, wow.
Yeah.
But, you know, his inside game, his interior game is fantastic.
Yeah.
But in the last game against Brisbane, I thought, okay, now I know how to pronounce his first name. It's Xavier, because he saved Sydney with his performance. He was really outstanding.
And it's not those big point-scoring things that he does. It's getting those massive offensive rebounds, getting the and ones in and around the bucket. And he does suit this style of play, up and down, get out in the open court. People guard him wrong still, you just give him the three. But I really like the way he plays. He's full energy, and that's the sort of stuff that I think is good for the Australian team as well. Yeah. And I didn't know how that dynamic was going to work with him getting cut, Gorge then having to coach him at Sydney, how that goes. But he's a professional. They're both professionals, and I really like Xavier's game.
You're not at all alarmed by United on this 3-game losing streak, which hasn't happened since I think Noah was a kid. It's a while that they've lost 3. You're not worried about them? It's a bit like when Golding and Lee come back.
Well, I think Golding and Lee coming back will help. Offensively, that's where they're getting let down. They don't have the score. Defensively, when you got Dellavedova, Illy, White, those guys are elite down that end. So they're able to stay in games purely at the defensive end. But I think having that punch of Golding coming in, hitting big shots like he has the propensity to do, they'll be fine. So I think they're still the team to beat.
Phoenix, as the last one to talk about. I thought Nathan Sobey's game in there when they beat United, that was the Nathan Sobey I'd like to see on a consistent basis, where I think he put the team first pretty much all the time. Yeah. And they won a very important game. How do you rate them? Do you see them as a top 6 team?
I think they could scrape in. I really like their bigs. I think they work pretty well. They're good down the offensive end. But yeah, Sobey's an enigma, isn't he? Like he can, I think they said it on the commentary on the weekend, he can make some unbelievably bad decisions. And shot selection, not always great. But when he gets it right,
yes,
he is very, very good. He has the ability to hit threes and score in rapid runs. I really like when he's not hitting the outside shot. His ability to get to the rim and score, I think, is elite in the league and one of the best guys at doing that. And I don't think he does it enough. Yeah. But he's just starting to work that out and doing a little bit more and getting on the rim. And I think that's probably an area where Vasiljevic this year and maybe a bit of last year has really improved. When his three's not going, he's getting on the rim and he's got the bullocky strength to be able to get around the rim and score. So it's good to see those guys not being so one-dimensional that they're now employing other tactics.
I think Sobey must have watched you in your heyday, because he knows when he gets to the basket and he throws himself on the ground, he's got to yell out, "Hey!" I seem to recall someone else doing that a fair bit, particularly in the latter stages of your career. But yeah, he can be a match winner, but the thing is, it's not always for his team.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he's a talent. He's good to watch. He's good for the fans. And that's where I'm conflicted with some of the players in the league at the moment. Like you look at Montrez, for example, at Adelaide, like I just don't like that sort of player that's all about me, all the theatrics after scoring, and like which player these days isn't doing some sort of stupid theatrics after they score. But as far as for the league and marketing and like we run the camps, you ask the kids who's your favourite player, 9 out of 10. They love him. So for the league, he's fantastic,
Yeah.
and I think he's been good for that. And
The term they're using, Brett, is he's box office.
yeah, well, he is, and he's a talent. Like he
Oh, no
can play.
question.
But I just don't like all the after stuff. That's like
Oh,
you look at the
geez.
camera
You-
every time you score. Come on,
You're joining the dinosaur world.
I know.
You're coming into the
I'm old.
Bodysaurus area, yeah, where it's like, come on, and flopping, etc. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's why this is the no flop zone. And so, how would you go playing with someone like Montrez Harrell? Did you ever have a teammate like him?
Not really as vibrant as him. We had a lot of different characters, but I think as captain, when you're working with someone like that, I think where they've really fallen down is they've got three alphas in the team.
Yeah.
So they've got Davis, who wants to be the number one man. They've got Montrez, and DJ's been given the keys to the team. And so they've got three of them all conflicting. And I think that works all right when you're winning. As you saw after the New Zealand game, when things didn't go well, come back, they have a full-on beef midweek, and Montrez walks out of training. So I think it works all right when things are going well. But to contain someone like that, it is really, really difficult because he's come in. Actually, a really good example was probably when we had the Stomper come back for his for his second season, and he had a camera crew following him around the whole time. It's a very similar sort of vibe to that.
Dr. No J.
Yeah, Julius Hodge. So it's probably similar to when we had him as far as personalities. Yeah.
As you heard, viewers, Brett doesn't flop at all. We'll be right back.
Paddy Mills Beyond Basketball is a tribute to Australia's greatest current Indigenous sportsman, an inspirational Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander whose uniform hangs at St Mary's College in California, a man instrumental in the San Antonio Spurs winning an NBA championship, and the basketballer who gave Australia its greatest individual performance in an Olympic medal round, when he steered the Boomers to bronze in Tokyo. Yet it could have been so different. Had it not been for AFL and Collingwood superstar Scott Pendlebury rejecting a basketball scholarship to the Australian Institute of Sport, the Paddy Mills story would have been very different. This is his inspirational story and journey intertwined with the history of the Boomers. Prepare to be amazed and moved. Paddy Mills Beyond Basketball.
We're back and we've got a little bit of NBA action here that we're just going to show you. We tend to focus on how the Australian boys are going, and this first one, there's no joshing, but we've got, watch this as Josh Giddey doesn't know that Josh Green is about to pick his pocket and do this. It's pretty amazing, great dunk, and it's like, yeah, I want to be on the next Australian team.
Idea, Green is behind him, punch it out, reestablish yourself and throw it in.
And here's another one, Dyson Daniels. This one, it's just an extraordinary block, the way he's managed to twist himself and get this block. And
shot clock now at 2. Brunson blocked. Daniels getting a piece of it.
all right, let's talk NBL round 13 coming up. This is the Christmas round because it ends up on Christmas Day with a couple of games, which will be the first question I'll post here. That didn't happen in your playing days, but how would you have felt about playing on Christmas Day, given that they say that most people have Christmas lunch and then are looking for something to do in the afternoon?
I'm looking to sleep in the afternoon. But I know it's a very American thing.
Eggnog. Too much eggnog.
I'm asleep by 4 Christmas Day. So it's no good for me, but yeah, it's such an American thing it has become a tradition over there. I really like playing New Year's Eve game. Play New Year's Eve, everyone's in a really good mood. You've got extra incentive to win to celebrate New Year's.
Yep.
I enjoyed that one. Christmas, I'm not sold on yet.
Right.
Boxing Day, fine, but not Christmas.
Okay, well, the round starts off with New Zealand hosting Sydney.
Sydney easily. Like watching New Zealand at the moment, they're not looking good. Like I saw the Adelaide game, and Adelaide are not at full strength, and took care of them fairly easily.
Yeah.
Even with 1 million subs, they easily destroyed them. So Sydney easily in that one, I think.
Okay, then we've got the Queensland Derby, which can sometimes go against form, because right now you've got Brisbane, who are in reasonably good form, and you've got Cairns, who've got none.
Yeah.
But they're looking at a 13th straight the old, 13 unlucky, all that sort of. Is there another factor at play? Can Cairns get up? Because both Joey and I liked Cairns to beat Perth last round.
Right.
And because we thought this is the one. Yeah, and the early days, they're travelling so well. They're double figure margin. They're looking good. And then, as I said, from 70, they just fell apart. So I don't know. I'm tempted to just go for Cairns because I don't think they can lose forever.
Yeah. And I think a good team to beat would be Brisbane. If they can get up early, I think will help them as well. But Brisbane they're playing a lot better. They're playing together. Their imports are going well, as we said. I think Brisbane should win that.
Okay. Then we've got South East Melbourne versus Adelaide, which is currently 6th versus 8th. This is where Adelaide, if they're going to make their move, they have to start to make it.
Yeah, you got to beat teams like South East because they're the ones they're going to be fighting out for.
Yep.
I can't see either of those teams getting into the top 4. I think they're playing for 5th and 6th, so you got to beat them. And I think Adelaide will beat them. I think they're playing reasonably well. I think they'll get over the line.
Vasiljevic and Dech aren't back yet for
this. That would be a big factor as well, whether they're coming back in. I would think hammies are normally kind of closer to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I would think DJ's probably going to sit out this week and come back in next week.
Yeah, I'm tempted to stay with Phoenix on that one. Although I do like Adelaide as a top 6 finisher. Said that all along. That talent should make the 6th.
I think a big thing for the Phoenix is having the point guard play.
Walton.
Yeah, Walton. And he looked a lot better against United once he got going. I think if he can really pick it up, that's what's going to be the difference for them. And that could be a really good matchup if he takes it personally against Davis. I think that could be a good match.
Illawarra and Perth in Wollongong.
Yeah, well, it's tough to win in Wollongong. And Illawarra playing well. Both teams are free-flowing, and a lot of people are saying, is Bryce going to get 40 plus again? It's hard to say no.
He's just amazing. He has been amazing. Like, he's been amazing his entire career. We
Yeah.
wouldn't be having the conversation about him being the GOAT and all that sort of stuff if he wasn't outstanding. But this little run, I've been in this game a long time watching it and reporting on it. I can't remember this sort of run unless you're talking about Al Green at his absolute peak in the early days or Andrew Gaze at his absolute peak. So he's up there among the greatest scorers of all time.
Yeah, I think Al Green's the anomaly in that because he's the only one out of those 3 that didn't have every offense run for him and everyone looking for him every single time down.
Yeah.
At the moment, that's what's happening in Perth, and that's certainly what was happening in Drewey's days when he was scoring 40 plus and they were losing every game.
Yep.
But when your dad's the coach and everything's run for you and everyone's looking for you, it makes it easier. But you still got to put the ball in the hole, and he's a master at it. And
Don't you wish Les was the coach?
I don't know how that would have gone, but Drewey's I think the best scorer we've ever seen. But in a 40-minute game to be able to string this together, the defense I think in a lot of cases is pretty good with all the teams these days. I'm surprised some of the teams in those earlier games, I don't know why everyone just doesn't double team him and then just deny him, keep it. He's very good at back cutting, but I thought some of the teams have started with that and then gone away from it, and he just kicks in. He's very good at getting to the line, scoring, finding ways of scoring, and his jump shot, the spring,
it's a beautiful thing.
He's got that nice little step back, which I love watching. Yeah, when he's full flight, I think he's very, very good.
That said, I'm still going for the Hawks because even though he got 40 on them just a couple of weeks ago in Perth, Wani Swakalo Bullock did a pretty good job on him. I think when he was on him, he scored 12 of his 40. So that's, he's got 28 on everything else. So I just think Illawarra, even if Bryce does go off, they've shown they can still beat him.
Yeah, I think Illawarra will win that as well. I think the way they're playing is really good basketball. I think he's got them playing well.
Okay, Melbourne, Tasmania.
I think Melbourne, although Tassie are playing well, they bring in Hummer, but I think Melbourne will win that one.
I can't see Melbourne losing 4 in a row, but I do like Tassie anyway. I'm going to go with Tasmania. Why not? Adelaide, Brisbane.
I think Adelaide will win that as well. Yeah, I think they've got enough to get over the line.
And then the 2 big ones on Christmas Day, Tasmania, New Zealand, and Sydney, Illawarra.
I think Tassie will get up over New Zealand. Not happy with New Zealand at the moment. They're just not looking good. And the Sydney Illawarra game, I think, will be a cracker. I can't pick a winner in that. I think it'll be overtime.
Yeah. Okay, gee, that is a tough one. I'll go for the 7. Okay, and the highlight I'm looking forward to all weekend is coaches' challenges, when we can go to Scott Butler and he can give us a completely different interpretation of what we've just seen. Mr. Personality.
But haven't some of those been weird?
Jeez.
Jeepers.
Anyway, listen, it's been great having you here, and we look forward to having you back sometime in the future when Joey is not in, he's in Serbia or some other wonderful land.
Yeah,
Merry
beautiful.
Christmas.
Thank you, buddy. Same to you.